So what are you reviewing today?
Well, it could be a whole lot of things. A couple of Miss Marple or a couple of Agatha Christie things. Mord op the Nile, something like that, which is Murder on the Nile. The original English is Death on the Nile. And then Miss Marple and her, I think it's 13 Problemen. Miss Marple and her 13 Problems. It's a collection of short stories. And I finished up the reading it one time, but I've been going through it, and I've gone through about 2/3 of it in the way that I do. Like you can see, in case you haven't seen that before, go through and try to put a translation for every word, aside from personal and place names. Sometimes I'll translate them too. But what I do with that process is I'll go through it 4 times in the original and once in the English. I don't have the English, I was going to say translation, but the original English here. I reviewed Le Petit Nicolas et les Copains the other day. Didn't quite finish. Who is my Muslim neighbor? Very small book. And Kniga Mormona, the Ukrainian translation of the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ, or so the Mormons claim. I'll be looking at Ulysses S. Grant. I didn't review this, did I?
Not at all.
No. Ulysses S. Grant, and that's his the personal memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant. So it's not just his memoirs of the Civil War, but also his memoirs of the Mexican War, in the wake of Texas getting something like independence. And then here's something, it's called Fiat Stash, Let There Be a Stash. No, that's just something that I put on there. So this is my first year Akkadian, and that's not fiddle music, okay? So that's Ancient Babylonian and Assyrian, an introduction by Barry L. Eichler, University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League
Oh, and I would like to say thank you to Matt Galloway.
Yeah, for actually earning us
putting
some
something interesting and useful on his show. Usually he is the CBC reporter that I perhaps hate the most. But
did you want to cover what he covered?
I guess I'll talk about it.
It'd be a good idea.
We're having tomato soup, which I made, and well, we grew these tomatoes, and James is having some white rice and some wild rice that he might put in his soup. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to be putting in the soup.
Yeah, I thought so. And because lately he's been finding that white rice helps his digestive system.
Yeah,
so
it kind of slows things down.
Yeah.
It's not really chemo that I take. Kind of one of the things I take is
I don't normally buy white rice, but I bought some, and I was, I've been cooking it for the dogs. Like I'll mix usually some mashy peas with some rice and some like juice off of James's oyster can or whatever.
Tin of oysters. Sometimes it'll be
into
salmon,
their
right?
food, or sometimes salmon, and sometimes peanut butter. They like peanut butter in there too.
And sometimes do you mix chicken in there, or do you give the chicken separately?
Yeah.
That's what they, I think, love the best.
Yeah, they love chicken.
Yeah, chicken.
But they love peanut butter too.
Well, they do. So, a couple of the older female dogs were getting a little bit thin, and Pauline just gave them
lots of peanut butter.
Well,
that fattens them right up.
As much peanut butter as they wanted. They were going to
They kept wanting it, so
yeah.
I gave them about a cup worth of peanut butter, the 2 dogs yesterday.
Yeah.
Just spoonful by spoonful. They were like, yeah, more! And they didn't have a heart attack, so everything's fine.
Well, they were
the cat
running a
is
little
spraying
bit.
right there. I don't know why.
Cat spraying.
Yep. Right
Fun
there.
times.
It's that gray and white cat.
Right
Anyway.
on your property.
Anyway, so Matt Galloway had a guest on, and I think I'm getting the name of this right. I was just writing it down while I was listening, so
And I
I'm
didn't
not sure.
catch it,
And
so-
I didn't catch the last name of the fellow, but I should be able to get. I should be able to find this book, "The End of Craving: Recovering the Lost Wisdom of Eating Well." I think by Mark somebody, but I don't. I'm gonna have to look it up. And he was talking about, I think, cream fiber 7000, microparticle proteins. These are various different kinds of fat replacers he was talking about. And he says these additives are in everything. And the brain responds by wanting more of something when it doesn't get what it thinks it's getting. So when it thinks it's getting fat, when it's actually getting fat replacement things, then it just wants more.
It'll just chow down on it.
Yeah. So in Italy, they eat fewer B vitamins, more pasta, and have a far lower obesity rate than we do in America.
So I'll just give the stats for that. This is northern Italy, and pasta presumably with some cheese on it and stuff like that. So he was saying the obesity rate there in northern Italy with this high pasta consumption was 8%. Obesity rate in the United States, I think he was saying 43%. So that's more than 5 times the rate. Sorry, I just wanted to outline how significant the difference was.
Yeah, that's good that you did.
Yes.
So anyway, he was saying that something about the meat, he was calling it fake meat, but the animals that are produced in America tend to be raised on like a high octane diet. It used to be, he said it used to be soy and corn more to get them, fattened up for slaughter.
Pigged out.
Yeah. But then they found that if they made the diet too fattening or something, and I guess if they grew too fast, then their B vitamins would get depleted, and then they would get some sort of
deficiency disease. He was saying calling it the porcine equivalent, although he didn't use the word porcine, equivalent of pellagra. So that's something in humans that's caused by a shortage of niacin.
But then they figured out, if we give the animals B vitamins, we supplement them with B vitamins and give them a super high octane diet, then we can fatten them right up quickly and whatever. And so I guess he thinks this is having an effect. And
you might be right. Thing to do is check it out.
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily say that eating a meat diet is bad. It's just maybe he's saying not the meat that we're producing in America. Although he didn't say that outright. But anyway, so if you're really into meat, perhaps you should get a hunting license. So, he said we've lowered the amount of sugar consumed, actually, but we ingest more calories. And the appetite was not designed for the food environment we're in. So he says eat real food, which is what we're doing, and what we've been trying to inspire people to do.
Yeah, so his message is basically the message that you've been not really pounding at people.
No.
You've been very civilized about it.
I've been trying to influence.
Like and you've
by
actually
showing you delicious meals that are really easy to make. I mean, this soup it's as easy to make as opening up a can of Campbell's and heating her on the stove.
That's
really
amazing.
It is a very easy soup to make.
And
this is
largely
my
fresh
easiest tomato soup recipe. And so we've been using it a lot because I've been exhausted and I don't feel like cooking that much. But I still want to eat healthy food. And so, it's just, I've been doing a lot of things. So I'm trying to move a bunch of things. I'm trying to get the house painted inside and stuff like that. And I haven't even started yet. I've moved some things. And I'm writing a few books and revising poetry on an ongoing basis. It's, honestly, I'm doing a lot. So it's not that I'm just not inspired to cook. It's that I've been inspired to do a whole lot of things. And so, tomato soup though, this is easy. This is fresh tomatoes, chopped up, some garlic, some salt, some thyme, and basil. That's it, with some water. Boil it up on the stove, and it's delicious.
See, look at this bowl. I'm not necessarily going to be able to eat it in one sitting.
Yeah.
But I'll be craving it.
The way I figure it.
The time for the next sitting. So.
I don't put any fat in the soup itself, and I don't like to serve food with fat, made with fat. I like to encourage James to put on the fat himself if he wants to. So then he knows how much fat he's eating. Or if he wants to put on a sweetener, say when I make waffles, I'll put the honey container there, and he knows how much he's eating that way. The sweetener is not in the waffle or the pancake. It's on the table so he can see it.
Most times I won't use the sweetener. And I've got a sweet tooth. It's incredible. I've got several sweet teeth. I've got several sweet teeth. And, if there's fruit there, it's not like I'm denying myself the honey. I don't even think about it. And that's one of the keys, I think, to eating well, is having, like this guy was saying, having good food there. Now, he's talking about preparing it. And it's tough because it's, most families, there's still a traditional kind of thing when it comes to food preparation and things like that. So that is going to fall on women in most families. So I don't know how many people would be able to do it.
Well,
he didn't talk about restaurant food. It's a problem, but go on.
People might need to set up a living arrangement where there's one person. It might be a group of different families. So it could be maybe you get along with 3 of your cousins or something like that, and a few friends or something, and you could live in a similar neighborhood, or maybe you're all around the same age and you decide you don't have enough money for a house, but you could rent places in the same apartment building or something, and then one of the people out of the group is the cook, is the one who stays at home and makes sure everyone eats well, and they get the cleaning done and whatever.
And you get economies of scale, right?
Yeah. And then the group, they might decide, wow, she's a really bad cook. So the cleaning's great, but no, we're gonna try another person in the group, and she's gonna go out and work for a while or whatever. Like it would be who's voting on this, right? Like if they're not doing the job that people want, well, they'll have to have somebody else stay home or whatever for a while. Because it used to make sense for a mother to stay home, because there'd be so many children and so much work to be done. And then with the invention of such wonderful things like laundry washer and dryer, and more so, I would say, the dishwasher.
Yeah. Vacuum cleaner.
Vacuum cleaner, yes. Then women had more time and were not having as many children, and decided, okay, well, I'd rather be out working and earning a keep, and maybe I don't want to be stuck in a relationship that I'm not really happy with or whatever. And things really changed, and it didn't change for the better for society or for individuals. I mean, they're not eating well. People aren't eating well. If you're not eating properly, that's like baseline thing. This is like, You have to make sure you're eating well and you're drinking water, and getting enough sleep. These are things that you must get, right? If you're not getting this, there's something wrong. You have to find a solution.
So Pauline's looking at it in an overall sort of way. There would be some positive improvements, but it's hard to improve everything if you don't have a foundation to build on. It's hard to improve on anything, really. Anyway, I'd say thank you, Matt Galloway, but you owe us so many. No, we don't owe you a thank you. You're such a sleazeball.
Anyway, this soup is delicious. Try it. Just
It's awesome.
make it.
You can
It's
add other
easy.
things to it. Like rice is basically a neutral sort of taste thing. Is the
Did
way
I
look
mention
at it.
garlic?
You mentioned garlic,
Good.
basil, and thyme, and salt, I think. You
'Cause
didn't
it's
mention
important.
pepper. Sometimes
Some
you
of the
put
salt
pepper
is
in
kind
it.
of crunchy.
Yeah. You put pepper in it sometimes.
No.
Anyway, and
Not this
garlic and tomatoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so simple that without me even concentrating on it, I remembered it. So,
And it's delicious. I mean, this one has very little protein, no fat, and not too much like, there's no carbs that are like, unless you eat it like James's, that
no
are like
carbs.
rice or pasta or anything.
Yep.
So this is basically like a broth sort of soup, but I mean, if you're eating other things, like James has been eating a lot of fish and stuff lately.
a fair amount.
Yeah.
Not as much as someone living at the coast would be. But
No.
yeah, this is awesome. So there's some wild rice in there. Adds another texture in there. And there is some protein in wild rice. It
Yeah.
hasn't been over.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And well, it's not actually rice.
Yeah. Can you even hull it? I don't even know.
I don't think so. It's more like a seed, like how quinoa and canoa and stuff like that are seeds. It's not like a grain.
Anyway, I like this tomato soup recipe by itself. I'm liking it right now. Well, this is the first time I've had it with wild rice. I've had it with rice in before. You have. Both, actually.
Yeah.
It's really tasty.
Well,
Nice
I've put
texture.
different things like white beans and stuff in it before, but I like it just like this, and then eat the protein with a different meal or whatever. Or in a different dish of the meal, different course. Anyway. So, you were going to talk about,
Variety of different books.
well, one of them. They're those ones. I thought you've already talked about those. You pulled up one with somebody's face on it. I can't remember.
Yeah,
what it
it's
was.
Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh, yes, that was it.
I believe he'd be the 18th president of the United States. I think Lincoln was the
Yeah,
16th.
we were listening to Barack Obama giving a speech
About
on the way out.
climate change. Let's talk about that because that's
Oh.
current.
Oh,
That was
okay.
on the current.
Oh, I see.
Matt Galloway. So he was talking. He was talking at Glasgow.
Oh, I see.
Did you catch much of it? Any of it?
No.
He's talking about how we have to kind of grab the bull by the udders. No, the bull by the horn. But really, bull by the udders. Now that's not original to me, and it's not a mistake. Virginia Woolf had a sister, and her sister was an artist, and she had a way with words. So what she'd do is she'd mess around with cliches. So that was original to her. So that'd be about 100 years ago, something like that. What was her name? Vanessa Stevens. And then she married a guy called Clive Bell. I believe he was a critic, not so much an artist. She was an artist. And of sorts. Not very good, poor thing, but that's another issue. Anyway, she was quite intelligent and stuff like that. And so she'd come up with these, playing with cliches and stuff like that. And that's one of hers. But that's Obama talking about climate change. He didn't mention anything about, he said, we got to do something now, clutch, time. And then it's taking the bull by the udders, which is, I'm exaggerating, at least somewhat. When people start concentrating on
symptoms
to a large extent. So, like overuse of, you're right, that's what it is, overuse of hydrocarbons and stuff like that is basically a symptom of overpopulation, severe overpopulation. And he was talking about having to not just be satisfied with the status quo, but actually pulling things back. And that's what the movement that I want to start. Sadly, it should exist out there, but I'm afraid it doesn't. And that is not zero population growth like it was there was a movement around.
Well, I think there are a lot of leaders
ago.
out there that are working towards negative population growth, but they're doing
not
it
telling
in
you about
a totally different way.
And
they're just letting pandemics kill people. And that's just not right. It's not right.
Whether they intend to or not, it's not right.
At the same time, I mean, we're hearing about people getting excited about the American border being open up for travel.
I think it's today it opens up. Yeah, wow.
And people are going to be going, getting sick, coming back for treatment, spreading it around. Yep. It's all these. I mean, last year there were a whole bunch of new pandemics strategically delivered around the world, like Christmas gifts just before Christmas.
Thank you, People's Republic.
Yeah.
Of China.
And
did you have that stored in your back pocket?
I expect that's going to be happening again. It's like China's like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Giving pandemic variants.
Not Taiwan.
All over the world. And
enjoy.
Yeah.
Come borrow from us when your economy goes kaput. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, they're sponsoring American citizens who are descendants of, they're Asian, Chinese American ancestry or whatever. They're sponsoring them to buy land in America.
Can this be true? No.
It is true.
Okay.
It is true.
Yeah.
You can look into it.
Okay.
And
well, that's colonization. It's settler colonialism. It's worse. It's colonialism. You can have something that is different from the so-called mother country or something like that, the parent country. That's what the United States ended up being vis-a-vis England. But this is imperialism. It's colonial imperialism.
And, well, somebody that I love was telling me about a Hindu colony that's set up in Prince Edward Island. And there, I guess, the woman who was telling me about it, she was saying she was watching it, I think, on CBC, and they were delighted about this Hindu colony in PEI.
CBC was him.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the person who told me about it was too. She thought, oh, it's lovely, they've started a whole big organic movement there, and it's like, no, they haven't. For one thing, they haven't. There have been people in PEI struggling for decades now to make PEI organic. So no, it wasn't this Hindu colony that's encouraging or, I don't know, influencing everyone in PEI to become organic. No. They elected a green leader. Green Party in PEI. So they're working on it. They've been working on trying to go green for a while now. And it's not the Hindu colony that's pressuring this. So anyway, there's this Hindu colony in PEI, and apparently they are growing organic vegetables and sending it back to India. Sending it home.
Oh, okay. That's exploited it. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, people
Shameful.
don't see what's happening, really. It's an amazing shell game that is being that the aggressive propagandists have been promoting within America and spreading it throughout the world. So people around the world think, oh, everyone's rich and glamorous movie stars in America, and they sit around and whatever they see people doing on television shows or whatever, and everyone's really wealthy and this and that, and well, that's just not true. And
Per capita income.
And so
It might
there's
be
a lot
lower
of
than Norway.
there's a lot of poor people who actually have these aristocratic sort of ideals, and they think, well, I don't want rich people to have to pay lots of taxes, because when I become rich, I don't want to have to pay lots of taxes. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're never going to become rich.
Unless they win the lottery and the chances.
And then you won't. You will become rich for a very short time and it will be gone.
You might win $1 million.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was one person who won 2 lotteries, roughly $1 million, but he'd actually, by the time he won the second, he'd spent the $1 million
That's
that he'd
funny.
won before.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, because apparently people don't know how to. They just
$1 million
think,
bucks is
all
not a
this
lot of money.
Yeah, it's really not.
If you invest
Yeah, then
at
you could live comfortably off of it.
Yeah, invest. Well,
You could
not
eat
really
this sort of soup.
Not
You
that.
could eat like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with
eat well.
let's say investing intelligently, and not necessarily nicely. Excuse me. You, in order to earn $40,000 a year for the rest of your life, where the dividends and stuff like that would pay for your existence without you having to work, $1.4 million would get you $40,000 a year. Wow. I think most people would be suffering if they had to live on $40,000.
Yeah,
a year.
most people would be, but we would
We
be
would.
living like kings. Because we live like kings now, as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty
I mean,
close. We want
I would like
we
to
want
have
a refugee
a house
out
that
of,
I wasn't.
out of this.
Yeah,
You see, we're talking about the same thing.
exactly.
So we want to. We're going to be refugees out of this neighborhood.
Yes, because it is getting, frankly, too dangerous.
Mhm.
My neighbor was talking about how, the other day, she was talking about how she'd remembered throwing a bunch of papers in the trash, and then she thought, wait a minute, I need those things, and she was going out and looking through the garbage in the middle of the night with a flashlight, and she said, I would never do that now. And I feel for her, because she is like me and would like to be like, I'd get up at 4:30, I'd look out the window, she would already be out gardening in her yard. I could
Yep.
see her in the summer. Like, she gets up early like me, and she likes to be out there gardening. We're very similar in that way. She likes cats, I do not. But
She likes dogs too. But
she likes dogs too. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, she's not
little
able to garden
wary.
in the
Yeah, it's
morning
scary. Scary neighborhood.
as much as she might like, right? And well, the other time she has stories other times in the